Good morning and good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Thursday's 13 episode. What does that mean? Well, we've got a list of 13 things. Today is the states with the most gun violence.
With the most deaths per capita by guns.
Yeah. So actual deaths, not just violence. And I'm sure that's not topical and referential to anything that's happening right now. We also have some general news stories for updates on what's happening this week. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our stories 10 to 15 minutes before we've started. We've just got some caffeine, and we're learning to read live on stream. Let's get into our headlines for this day's 13 list. Today on Thursday's 13, social media ban for under 15s, digital curfew at 10 p.m. The recommendations of the TikTok Commission in France.
Also, the UK fires its ambassador to U.S. Peter Mandelson over links to Jeffrey Epstein. Plus, South Korea says immigration raid could impact U.S. investment.
Russian drone incursions in Poland prompts NATO leaders to take stock of bigger threats.
And with gun violence in the news today, we're going to look at the states with the highest occurrences of accidental or on-purpose gun deaths.
Bad Bunny says he left U.S. out of world tour due to fear of ICE raids at concerts. In my culture news.
And it's National School Picture Day. So get on your best haircut and your best clothes. Make sure you got no acne and get that school picture taken. It's September 11th. Yes, it's September 11th, 2025 on Before Coffee. I would say 9/11 was the greatest, most successful terrorist attack in the history of the world because they won. The terrorists won. We turned on ourselves.
We flipped the entire country upside down just to get them.
We fought two wars. One was kind of popular. The other one was really unpopular, and they dragged on for 20 years. And we basically punished the wrong countries.
And the NSA happened.
So they won. Right.
We spied on our own people and looked for terrorism in every single Facebook post.
Tortured people for information they didn't have, accepted the bad information.
That's all you get. Don't forget the waterboarding controversy. The Guantanamo Bay. Which people are still in Guantanamo Bay.
Yep, people still in Guantanamo Bay, and every interrogator will tell you any information gotten from torture can't be trusted because they're just going to tell you anything to make the torture stop, and that's all there is to that.
That's why you can't use it in court. Can't use it in court. Any information found in duress is unlawful.
Right, and the Bush administration got around all that.
Information, even if it's the truth, you can't use it in a court of law.
They got around all that by not charging them with anything.
Yeah.
Hey. Okay. Hey, that's how we do it.
Let's roll our first segue here for my story. Okay. If I can find the segue.
I'm gonna move my camera slightly, ever so slightly, and slide myself over ever so slightly and fix my hair. What's my spin?
You've got accurate metaphor and simile.
Oh, all right. I don't have to do a lot of writing for that. Okay.
Go to my story here, which is about France's new ideas for a social media ban for children and I guess young teenagers and that kind of young children. Or I guess older children. Old children, as I like to call them.
Old children.
This 15-year-olds are like under 15. Elderly children. This is on Liberation and AFP. An ocean of trash is how it's quoted. Social media ban for under 15s, digital curfew at 10 p.m. The TikTok Commission's recommendations. In an attempt to stem the algorithmic trap that can affect the health of young people, parliamentarians have examined the devastating effects of Chinese applications and are unveiling their final report today on September 11th. Chinese applications. Reminder, it's owned by a Singaporean company, not a Chinese company, but you know.
Sure.
They're all Asians. They're all the same. A report that drives the point home, yes. TikTok has devastating effects on young people. Considering the parliamentarians are releasing their report today, they therefore recommend, and are not the first to, ban social media for those under 15. Such a ban, already called for by the elite palace, would send the signal to both children and parents that social media before the age of 15 is not harmless, summarizes MP Laura Miller, PR, rapporteur of the Parliamentary Commission of the Inquiry, to AFP. Launched in March, the commission spent several months interviewing victims' families, social media managers, and influencers to dissect the algorithm of TikTok, an extreme popular application among young people. Design has been copied by other social networks. Looking at you, YouTube Shorts, recalls Laura Miller. It was created in the wake of TikTok's lawsuit in 2024, filed by a group of 7 families accusing it of exposing their children to content that could lead them to suicide. I just want to be clear here. I'm not a psychologist or anything. I'm not even trained in this thing. But what I've heard from the people who are trained in these things is that people who are going to commit suicide aren't led to it by social media. They're led to it by their own internal mental health, which means they need to see a therapist, okay? They need to talk to somebody, or maybe even better, you as parents of these children should talk to them. And saying, oh, it's not my fault, or not my due diligence, it's TikTok's fault, is incredibly irresponsible. It's difficult for us parents to moderate all this, Geraldine, 52, who's one of the plaintiffs and wishes to remain anonymous, said. In 24 February, his mother lost her daughter, Penelope, who committed suicide at the age of 15. She's blaming her ability to not take away her laptop, not take away her TikTok, her phone, right? Like, I'm just saying, I'm not blaming this mother for the sad thing that happened, but her blaming, we can't moderate any of this. I was like, oh, well, she watched TikTok on her friend's phone and then she killed herself, is a crazy, line to draw there. After her death, she discovered the self-harm videos her daughter was posting and viewing on TikTok. For self-harm is a coping mechanism. So maybe, yet again, you should ask your daughter why she was doing that instead of, I don't know, banning TikTok, and that will fix it, right? It wasn't TikTok that killed our daughter because she wasn't well anyway, explains Geraldine. Then why are you going the lawsuit then? She already admits that it's not TikTok's fault. But for this mother, she's grieving. It's what it sounds like. She needs to blame something, so she's grieving, and she denounces the lack of online moderation. The network pushed her daughter into a state of happiness. For its part, TikTok regular claims to make the safety of young people its top priority. Her argument here, I guess, is that the algorithm, right? She watched one self-harming video, and then TikTok said, not only are we going to allow self-harming videos on the platform, but you're watching a lot of them, so you must like it. Here's 15 more. I guess is what she's going for here. Yeah.
TikTok's algorithm is something that
I really wouldn't know. I don't use the website. Either way, they do have obligations under the DSA, the Digital Service Act, in order to protect their users on social media. The report recommends going as far as to ban using the app before 18 if within 3 years social networks do not satisfactorily comply with their legal obligations, particularly in regard to the European regulation on digital services. Before the commission, managers of TikTok, owned by Chinese group ByteDance, had highlighted moderation boosted by artificial intelligence, which would have allowed the platform to proactively remove 98% of content violating its terms of use in France last year. But for the deputies, these efforts are insufficient, flawed with the rules that are very easy to circumvent. Except the word suicide, they tell you to call a helpline. They hide behind that to say they're protecting children. Regrets, Geraldine, while this content remains accessible via other keywords or emojis. Right. Just put like the death emoji or the knife emoji. Find all the cutting videos you want. Between September 23 and December 24, the number of French-speaking TikTok moderators decreased by 26%, according to data from its transparency reports. Harmful content thus continues to proliferate, coupled with particularly powerful recommendation algorithms that can trap young people in harmful bubbles, the Commission of Inquiry notes. I completely agree with this. Other negative impacts of the network on minors, according to Laura Miller, include loss of attention and concentration, sleep disturbances or self-esteem problems, particularly for teenage girls faced with unattainable standards. At the end of the day, right, this is just proving social media is impactful for 15 and younger
people thinking they're
people, right? Because as an adult, right, I can say you need to control your algorithm, right? Oh, I don't want to see any more videos of this. There's an option to, downvote it or don't block the channel in some cases, right?
Yeah.
YouTube I know has the do not show me content like this, and then they ask you why, and you say, it's harmful, whatever, and you're done. You shouldn't see it anymore. You're telling the algorithm actively. But kids
never
don't
stops.
have that decision-making process, so I think definitely they're just swiping, ever not trying to control what they don't like or do like. And that is kind of what teenagers and preteens do, and children in general. They explore things to discover what it is.
Nobody out there is who they claim to be.
Yeah.
Nobody out there.
You can tell children don't do this, but they need to find out for themselves why you don't do it. So, this is, I'm sure a child psychologist can reveal this information that we've studied for 10 years maybe. But to end the story, banning social media for 15 is a key issue for the President Emmanuel Macron. Recent guidelines from the European Commission have opened the door to national regulations, key to which, according to Laura Miller, is the implementation of an age verification system for registration. However, such measures are hampered by platform reluctance, because as soon as you start saying you have to be a certain age and you have to have people all these steps to sign up, well, no one's going to sign up anyways. I'm just going to not even go through the trouble. People don't like doing all these things just to get access. They want easy access to things. And that's the things that gets a lot of traction on the internet. Easy access to things. So, French law on digital majority, adopted in the summer of 23, already requires parental authorization for children under 50 to access social media, but it has not yet come into force due to the lack of certainty regarding its compliance with law. Like requiring an ID is probably against European law, right? You must have an ID to use social media. Also there's a European law for right to be a business. You have a right to be a business. They start passing things that kind of removes your right to be a business, like requiring everyone to have an ID and registered freaking service number in order to log into your website. That sounds like a huge barrier to having rights to having a business. So, yet again, that's the problem with being government. They have to play both sides, not just one side.
The old TikTok ban.
Give me your simile.
The World Wide Web is like a big old swamp, with a couple of islands here and there. And another simile is like you're giving your kid, hey, I'll protect you your whole life. Now here's a device where you can talk to every creep on the planet. Hey! I would just not give kids a cell phone until they were 15. I would just draw the line and say, "You're not getting a cell phone. Here's your little non-smartphone or whatever. Tough shit if you're friends."
Demi Corge here saying in chat, kids shouldn't even be on the internet until after 20 years old, which it doesn't really work. I mean, you have to do research now. Like if you're researching a project, you do have to use the internet for that. But I get what you're saying. You mean like social media stuff. And I personally don't want to talk to anybody that's even... I don't even know if I want to talk to a 20-year-old. I probably am talking to people who are, 18 plus. But I'd rather not talk to anybody who's not 20 plus. Maybe even older. I think it's weird as a 30-year-old to be talking to... on social media, which is a very casual thing. So
just accept that everybody's...
I just
accept that nobody's who they say they are. Nobody's ever who they say they are, ever, and you'll be safe because they got to prove who they are. I don't have to prove anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, just keep your kids off the internet. It's a sewer. It's nothing good happening on the internet anymore. It's just waste of time. Except
Wait a minute,
show.
we're on the internet.
Yeah.
There's plenty of great educational things on YouTube and other places, but yeah.
There is. But
social media, I don't think anyone learns anything on social media. Going on Twitter or TikTok or scrolling to YouTube shorts, I don't think you will learn as much as if you watched a 3-hour dissertation about something, you know, in my opinion.
End up like me. You spend from 12 o'clock to 2 in the afternoons doom scrolling through idiots who think the earth is flat. What use does that to me? None whatsoever. It's a complete waste of time. So, next story, spin the wheel, I guess.
Spinning the wheel.
Purposes. But I forgot my story was. Something about, I'll do the South Korea story first. It's a shorter.
Oh, right. Non-sequitur.
South Korea says immigration raid could impact U.S. investment. Bidhat Fatima has a story for DW.com. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung on Thursday said the U.S. immigration raid on the Hyundai factory was bewildering. He's like, you wanted a factory here, guys, and you kind of let us build one.
To build a factory.
I don't know if you want our money or not, but apparently you don't want our money, so goodbye. And could have adverse effects in the future South Korean investments in the U.S. The raid was the largest single-site anti-immigration operated, constructed by Stinky the Clown in his administration. A top political priority since the fascists returned to office in January. At a press conference, Lee said the raid is likely to leave South Korea businesses hesitant about investing in the United States. Last week, a detention of some 300 Korean workers in a massive raid in a Hyundai LG battery factory site in the state of Georgia raised concerns about the viability of doing business in the U.S. He said the detained workers will leave the detention center at 3 p.m. Korean time Thursday and fly back to South Korea. And that's your story. Well, wait,
really?
There's some more. After detentions, a little bit more. After all that, I had to scroll down. After his detention, South Korean companies can't help but question whether setting up a plant in the U.S. is worth potential risks, Lee said. This could have a significant impact on future investment decisions, particularly when evaluating feasibility of direct operation. He kind of just repeating himself. Following the raid, South Korean Foreign Minister Cho Yeon flew to Washington to resolve what has become a diplomatic mess. I would just
That's
say,
a bit of an understatement.
Lee said Seoul is in talks with Washington to ensure that visa insurance for investment-related purposes operates normally. There's some big words to use for a stupid man that's in the White House. This could include securing additional quotas or even creating a new visa category, he said. And he trusted the U.S. aid will find a solution. Sure, they will. But under the current circumstances, Korean companies will have little choice, but they hesitate about making direct investments in the U.S. There's your story. A short story.
Okay.
And we'll do the next story.
My non sequitur is I was seeing some stuff about this. I was scrolling through comments, so grain of salt. I heard that they might even pull all of their factories out and just be like, oh, you don't want us teaching your people how to do anything. So we're just gonna not do that. Good luck. And I also heard the place they were building this factory was one of those dead-end towns, right? The pictures of it are just like, wow, there's one gas station. The houses look like they're from the 1800s.
Our battery factory. We're all going to get money. We'll have jobs.
Yeah,
they were going to get
that factory was going to provide 8,500 jobs or something, and now it's providing 0 because of one white lady politician. So,
one Karen does them in, and everybody's like, "Hey!"
From the people who have no money, I guess, are poor now.
That's right. Yeah. Oh my God! There's people. They don't look white. They're in my town. What a piece of shit that lady was, huh?
Yep.
Probably still is. Hopefully she gets voted out. We don't want to see more violence. So the next story I got is U.S. ambassador. We're back to Jeffrey Epstein. We're not going to drop that story. UK fires ambassador to U.S. Peter Mandelson over links to Jeffrey Epstein. This is from AP's Pan Pilus. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Thursday fired the country's ambassador to the United States, Peter Mandelson, over his links to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. In a statement in the House Commons on Thursday, Foreign Office Minister Stephen Doughty said the decision came in the wake of the publication this week of emails Mendelson sent to Epstein in the 2000s, in which he gave his support to the disgraced financier even when he was facing jail for sex offenses.
Ooh,
Doughty said the emails
in the trial, he was still giving him some bad optics, man.
Oh, Jeffrey, I'm still your buddy. Keeping that contact open for what reason exactly? We want to know. Doughty said his emails showed the depth and extent of Mandelson's relationship with Epstein was materially different from what was known when he was appointed ambassador to Washington last year in the wake of Labour Party's election victory. Mandelson took up his post in February this year after what the government described as an extensive vetting process. Extensive, obviously, is not the most they can do, right? Because extensive didn't catch this. Has voiced his deep regret over his previous links with Epstein and said he knew nothing about his criminal activities. Again, you sent him a message when he was under indictment or under arrest or whatever the hell. In light of the additional information in the emails written by Peter Mandelson, the Prime Minister has asked the Foreign Secretary to withdraw him as ambassador to the United States. He's like, damn, I can't get no of that young girls anymore in the United States. I got to go to, maybe he's got to go back to Thailand where he used to go. I don't know. In particular, he pointed to Mandelson's suggestion that Epstein's first conviction in 2008 was wrongful and should be challenged. Yeah, he didn't know about it, right? Whatever. On Wednesday, the Sun newspaper published emails that said it showed Mandelson's telling Epstein to fight for early release shortly before he was sentenced to 18 months in basically house arrest. I think the world of you, Mandelson told him before he began his sentence for soliciting prostitution from a minor. The decision to fire Mandelson comes just a day after Starmer said he had confidence in him. And the latest blow to the Prime Minister ahead of the state visit by Stinky the Clown to the UK next week, which is likely to meet with protests and some controversy. Last week, Starmer also saw his deputy, Angela Reiner, quit over tax error on home purchase. The government saved James Roscoe, the UK deputy head of mission in Washington, will serve as interim ambassador to oversee Trump's state visit. Roscoe is a career diplomat and former communications chief to the late Queen Elizabeth. Starmer's judgment is being increasingly questioned, particularly over his appointment of Mandelson, who is no stranger to controversy, having twice resigned from former Prime Minister Tony Blair's government in 1998 and 2001. Can't you, Labour Party, find anybody else? I mean, the guy 25 years ago had this job. I had a job in the parliament and had to resign twice. Can't you find anybody else that isn't a perv? In the wake of the second resignation from Blair's government, Mandelson became a European commissioner when Britain was still in the European Union before returning to frontline British politics in 2008 to serve under Blair's successor, Gordon Brown. Mandelson's trade expertise was considered a major asset in trying to persuade the Trump administration not to slap heavy tariffs on British goods and seemed to pay off when the country struck a trade deal in May, though some details of the agreement have yet to be finalized. He's also a skilled, critics say ruthless, political operator whose mastery of political intrigue brought in the nickname the Prince of Darkness. Oh, good for him. He's a Prince of Darkness and he's a perv. What an all-around great guy. It is rare for a politician, rather than a career civil servant, to be given a key UK ambassador post. The center-left former lawmaker was not an obvious emissary to the Trump administration. Mandelson once called Trump a danger to the world, at least being accurate, and he later said we're ill-judged and wrong. The words he said were later ill-judged and wrong. No, they were not ill-judged and wrong. They were completely accurate. Stop being an ass-kisser. The focus on Mandelson over his links to Epstein accentuated this week after the Democrats in the House Oversight Committee released a 50th birthday album compiled in 2003 for Epstein, who was at the time a wealthy and well-connected financier. In the album, Mandelson called Epstein my best pal in a handwritten note. He's my best pal. We're just two peas in the pod. Our other alleged contributions to the album that was compiled by British convicted sex offender Jolene Maxwell, or however pronounce that weirdo's name, were Trump himself, former President Bill Clinton, and attorney Alan Dershowitz. In a friends section included other letters of sexually provocative language. Epstein took his own life, in theory, allegedly took his own life in August 2019 while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. And never forget, Trump is the one that locked him up, right? Why did Trump lock him up? So he could kill him. That's how he locked him up. Now, there's your story. Jill Lawless in London contributed to this report, it says.
My non sequitur has to be, and, you know, I know it's not all men, but, wow, a politician in power is also a pervert. Am I supposed to be surprised or something? Like, there's a reason it's a cliche in films and stuff, because there's some truth in it, right? It's a common happenstance. It's too much of a common happenstance that you're gonna be surprised when it really.
I'm disappointed they keep recycling the same old tired politicians. This guy was in 4 administrations already.
Yeah, I mean,
please, just go away. Just
go. People like you call them career politicians, right? That's all they do. They.
Recycling. It's been fired from the other governments. It's like the reason people get fired. It isn't because they're not. I mean, whatever. There's your silliness.
I did want to get some facts straight about the Korean Hyundai factory thing, because we were arguing in chat here. According to Snoops, which I know is not the most reliable, but they're supposed to be looking for the facts. Okay.
Yeah, we hope.
Hyundai does not intend to shut down operations in Georgia. The people who were raided in the ICE raid were all transient subcontractor workforce. As in, they weren't going to permanently be there for the rest of their life. They were just in there to help build the factory. They were going to be rotating for months at a time. You know, I'm working here in Georgia today. I'm probably going to work somewhere else tomorrow. Kind of people. They were not long settled family men who sudden absence in other towns would tore the holes in the fabric of civic life. If that means anything to you. And also, Vanka was saying supposedly they weren't going to hire anybody but Koreans, which does not say anything about that, because it would take a long time to hire around 8,000 workers, and the factory wasn't even built yet.
And
so that's a very strong assumption that they were never going to hire anybody but Koreans for the next however many years this factory is supposed to run. 8,000 workers.
Here's how it works. When you start a factory, you have your trained workers in South Korea
because the ones who build the car, Honda is a Korean car, right? They know,
and they hire
engineers.
They hire Americans to replace those workers piece by piece, because the Korean workers can only be here on work visas. They're not permanent residents. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. This stupid lady you reported and just thinks, oh my God, they're going to take these jobs, only Korean jobs. Of course, I'm on the side of why this is what you get when you don't hire unions. There you go. You don't hire a union, you get the shit. You get non-union workers from other countries. Yeah, non-union workers from other countries.
There you go. Even local resident on AP said, right, a quote from a local resident said, I don't see how it's brought a lot of jobs to our community or nearby communities where we used to hear birds chirping and animal laugh around here. Now we hear the plant when it's full going at night. Felt more like construction jobs at the battery plant should have gone to local residents. That's all it said. So the people who are constructing the factory, that's one person's opinion in the town, right? There's probably other 10,000 other opinions.
Everybody's got an opinion. You know what they say about what they say about opinions, right?
They're just like
opinions
assholes.
Are like, everybody's got one and they all stink.
But that's all the facts I have for that story. And my non sequitur is basically we're supposed to be surprised that, some old white guy is a pervert. I'm never surprised. Oh, that old white guy is a pervert. Oh my God.
And he's probably knows Prince Andrew quite well. But the only reason we even know about this is because of that birthday book. Yeah. That's it. The only reason we know about his birthday book. Right? To be clear, he hasn't been convicted of, buying men from Epstein or buying little boys from Epstein or, 12-year-old girls. He hasn't done any of that. But
You gotta watch who you associate with, because your associations reflect on you. Everyone knows this. If I hang out with a drug dealer, people are gonna think I'm pushing drugs. How it happens.
I know if I went for security clearance, I mean, back in the old days when security clearances really meant something, and Jeffrey Epstein was on my contacts, they would investigate the shit out of that.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. Not so much for rich people. Rich people just
Why did I specify a white guy? Because I'm used to seeing white perverts in media, Vanka. I'm not saying white guy, only white guys can be perverts. I'm sure there's plenty of brown and black people who are perverts too. I'm just saying, when I see, that white guy was that powerful white guy, which white people for the most part do have a lot of power in the world because we live in an anti-black, anti-brown globe.
All right,
sorry to reveal this to you.
Let's move the show along.
This is the show. We're talking to chat. We're live streaming.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I got nothing to add. So
I got nothing.
Whenever you're done. I mean, I said what I got to say. I mean, what else can I add? The story's not going away anytime soon. We'll have plenty of time to talk about it.
We're definitely not letting it go away.
Yeah, we're not letting Epstein go away. I'm not going to even comment on a race or any. It has nothing to do with it, so...
Non-sequitur for you for my story, which we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Poland thing that happened yesterday that I didn't want to talk about because it wasn't wacky or weird. I mean, I guess it was kind of weird.
What was my spin? Sorry?
Non-sequitur.
You said it kind of fast. I'm a little slow. All right. Non-sequitur.
This is by Claudia Ciobanu on AP News. Coming out of Warsaw. Poland's prime minister pledged today on September 11th to push ahead with a great modernization program for his country's military, and Finland's president warned a further unease over security in Europe a day after Russian drones struck on Polish soil and alarmed NATO leaders about what the Kremlin's future territorial ambition might be. Now, the reason this is so important is this has happened many times before since the Ukraine conflict started, but the specific issue here is that it was way more than usual. It wasn't like or it like got sidetracked and got lost or something, right? The radio signals got mixed up and they went into Poland. It was like 26, I heard, or 40 or 20, way too much larger number of military drones, right? Not the cute ones you use to film your cool overhead shots. Big, the size of small planes, okay? These things are huge. And they crashed into people's houses and destroyed their properties. The incursion yesterday on the 10th of September came during unrelenting Russian strikes on neighboring Ukraine, deepened long-standing fears that the 3-year war between Poland's neighbors could precipitate a wider conflict. US-led efforts to steer Moscow and Kyiv toward the settlement have so far failed to get traction. European officials described the incursion as a deliberate provocation, forcing the NATO alliance to confront a potential threat in its airspace for the first time and compelling it to take a stock of its response, because they actually had to call in, I think, what are they called? F-35s, F-something. They had to call in the Air Force to strike them down, to counter military, right? Also, hello, Dubino. Hope you're having a good Thursday. And that's not supposed to happen if you have a protected NATO airspace, right? They're supposed to go, oh shit, we're in NATO airspace, turn around. And they had to be stricken down, like a lot of them. European officials described the incursion, we already said that, they had to get military response. Some in Europe called the incursion a deliberate provocation. NATO Supreme Commander in Europe, General Alexis Grankowicz, said today that the alliance wasn't certain about the number of drones that entered Polish territory, nor whether they were fired intentionally. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to ask the guy who sent them over, right? Hey! Lazanov, did you do that on purpose? I have no comment. That's what they will say. Ooh. That's what the Kremlin will say. We have no comment.
Ooh, me? Not me. I was flying out a window that day.
They're not waiting for this incursion to modernize their military, Ivanka. They were already doing it. They just mean that this is going to push it in overdrive. As we talked about plenty of times on the show before, Poland and I believe that Latvia or Lithuania, one of those, I think it was one of those countries, are the only countries that have reached their, or even surpassed the 3% of your GDP cost target for military increase budget. So Poland has definitely been modernizing their. They're mostly just saying this gives it a bit of a second wind. They're already doing it, okay? They're not starting now. They just mean, hell, this is more reason we're doing it. Anyways, back to Greenwich, who said they don't know why it happened, but we will learn lessons. We'll learn of things that we need to enhance our posture to handle these limited incursions, Greenwich said in Vilnius. Yeah. Several European leaders said they believe the incursion amounted to an intentional expansion of Russia's Ukraine. Yeah, we'll send the drones into Poland and attack from the northern south border from Poland and Ukraine. They'll never see it coming. Which I think if you use NATO airspace to attack another country who's not NATO, that would involve NATO in the attack, which they don't want to be involved in. We do not want a war. I'm conflicted because I both want it to happen to just get it over with, but I don't want it to happen because world wars are bad. We don't want a bunch of people getting missiles pointed at them and bombs everywhere. And Dresden, don't forget about Dresden. That was a provocation. The Foreign Ministry of Ukraine, Poland, and Lithuania published a joint statement calling the incursion a deliberate and coordinated strike, consulting an unprecedented provocation and an escalation of tension. President of Finland, Alexander Stubb, who met today on September 11th with President Vladimir Zelensky, Ukrainian capital Kyiv, said now the line between war and peace has been blurred. That the events yesterday were another milestone of following Russia's seizure of Crimean Peninsula, Ukraine in 2015. We now live in an age of uncertainty, Stubb told a news conference with Zelensky. And we have to understand that these types of events, which were not used outside of Ukraine since 2013, are now starting to happen in Europe as well. Like, it wasn't just some drones flew by and they didn't. Nobody was killed, fortunately, right? But still, there's results of the drones crashing into houses and have to be shot down. The Kremlin said it had nothing to add. A statement by the Russian Defense Ministry insisted that Russian forces had not targeted Poland. Yeah, if they just straight up said we targeted Poland, we would be in war right now. That was us, Poland. Start shooting your missiles at Moscow, you know? Woohoo! They're not going to say that is the open to discussion. And that it was open to discuss the incident with Polish officials to figure out what's going on. It's really sad when Russia doesn't even know what's happening. The UN Security Council scheduled an emergency meeting on the drone incursion for Friday afternoon at Poland's request. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk addressed the Polish troops at an air base in the central city of Lask today, praising the quick response from the troops and NATO allied forces from the Netherlands. This is why it was in the news for me. It was like the front news page, right? Dutch Air Force pilots had to shoot down drones in Poland, and everyone in the Netherlands was like, we cannot allow this to happen. They cannot just put drones in Poland because then we will have to fight Russia. But the response also brought questions about the wisdom of using advanced fighter jets to shoot down relatively cheap drones. Poland expects to receive its first F-35 fighter jets from the United States next year, Tusk said. It will be the first delivery of some of the 32 aircraft expected by 2030 as part of this support package finalized 5 years ago, said. Polish President Karol Nawrocki also visited a military airbase, striking a defiant tone in the statement that said Poland doesn't get scared by Russian drones. Nawrocki described the incursion as an attempt to test our abilities. Poking the bear. Hey, are you awake, Poland? Wake up! That's probably also why they sent out the fighter jets, to be fair, because they're like, if Russia is trying to test our defense, we'll show them fucking defenses. Here's the F-35, which is not necessary, to just prove our response time, right? We will respond to an incursion. Don't you worry about it. Polish Air Navigation Agency announced that Poland was introducing air traffic restrictions in the eastern part of the country. It said that step was taken as the request of the Polish army for national security reasons, but did not elaborate. So nobody's allowed to fly drones over there anymore. Poland said some of the drones that entered the airspace came from Belarus, where Russia and local troops have been doing some war games, you know. Hey guys, don't forget Belarus and Poland. Don't forget about Belarus, Poland. We're over here. We're gonna do some shooting. Don't mind us, we're not totally threatening you or anything. Underscoring the global repercussions of the Russian-Ukraine war, China has urged Poland to keep open a section of Belarus border for a China-EU freight track that crosses it. The rail line is part of China's Belt and Road Initiative to trade with other countries. The European Council on Foreign Relations, a think tank, concluded that Putin is testing Europe's resolve against the threat from Moscow, while the United States demands it shoulder more of the financial burden. And that's really all I have to say. Polish airspace has been violated many times since the invasion in 2022, but never on this scale. And anywhere else in the NATO territory, Russian drone attacks on civilian areas are a daily occurrence in Ukraine. The Ukrainian military has successfully developed drones to combat the attacks, called interceptors, or has spurred fast-track development of high-tech drone technology, including some from Turkey, if I remember correctly. A British counterpart of defense, John Healey, signed an agreement for the UK to produce Ukrainian interceptor drones. Jamal said on Telegram today, and the Ukrainian Air Force said its force intercepted 62 of the 66 Russian airstrike and decoy drones in the country's air tonight. But I have not been able to get an actual count of number. Poland, like we said earlier in the article, they don't even know how many it was. They're still getting the count themselves. So hopefully by Friday or maybe next week, over the weekend, we will find out how many numbers it was. Because I was seeing crazy amount of numbers from like 20 to 40 drones, which, if it's like one or two.
Make a lot of drones pretty quick.
Yeah, if it's one or two, you're like, oh, maybe it was a mistake. But when it's like way more than that, you have to think, did they do this on purpose? But that's my story. So if it drug on a little long, I just wanted to make sure I covered everything, all the questions here.
My non sequitur was, there's a lot of people just springing up little tiny drone factories all over Ukraine and Russia, right? Little home drone factories in people's garages and shit. Yeah. Springing up. I also wanted another non sequitur. You remember when I was in Utah and I told you I looked up in the sky and I saw these lights lining up? Yeah, you saw a bunch of lights. I thought it was drones. That turns out it was Starlink satellites going up, right? It was Starlink satellites lining up, and
that's pretty. That was
what they actually were. Yeah.
I can't wait till we find out Elon Musk actually made like you know how you can create like Lego pieces into a big thing, right? And they just start as little blocks, right? So imagine he's making a super laser in space, and all the Starlink satellites are all parts of the super laser, and then when they're all up there, they can combine into a big super laser, like he's a super. Just a random thought I had.
Yeah, he's Lex Luthor of the 21st century. He's just that guy.
We're gonna need Superman to take the laser down.
Another nightmares. I'll spin the wheel for my little segment.
Yeah, my little segment. 13. This is going to be the longest segment. The saddest segment, really.
All I'm going to do is name 13 states, so I don't even know if it's going to be that long. So
all right, my segue is Metaphor Assembly. So give me a list.
Highly publicized gun death in Utah yesterday as Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck as he was telling people that guns are the rights of everybody and guns are the thing that we got to have and so forth and so on, and gun deaths or whatever. And again, he turned into a gun death right that minute, and it got me to thinking of gun deaths in the United States and what states have the most gun deaths, whether on purpose or involuntary. So
accidental deaths versus just deaths due to guns. Yeah.
And the most recent year where they had all the data for all the states is 2022. So we're going to list them off and compare them as to not just gun laws, but also the death penalty. And there's actually a correlation between having the death penalty and gun deaths. Also a correlation between weak gun laws and gun deaths, which is no surprise. I'll give you the top 13. I'll give you the bottom 13, but I'll give you the top in deaths and the top 13 in least deaths. We'll give those last, but we'll run through that list. This one we'll spend a little more time on. Number 1 is Mississippi with 29.6 gun deaths per 100,000 each year. That would be 2022. They actually went down from the year before, where it was 31. And Mississippi has weak gun laws, and they have the death penalty. So that's a bad combination. I would say strong gun laws and no death penalty is probably the best combination, but not Mississippi. Mississippi, freedom, freedom. Same goes for Louisiana, who I kind of lump together with Mississippi. They're basically the same state in my mind. There's not a whole lot of difference. Gulf of Mexico, hot and humid, tornadoes, thunderstorms, that whole thing. Weak gun laws and the death penalty, but they still, with that death penalty, 28.2 deaths per 100,000. They're number 2. Number 3 is New Mexico, is the first state on our list that does not have the death penalty, but they also don't have strong gun laws either. And New Mexico is one of your poorer states. So they're number 23, 27.3. And I would say, I know a good deal of people living in New Mexico. I would say Albuquerque is probably the one dragging this statistic because I don't think there's a lot of, I don't know. It's a poor state. I would say poor state would probably be the reason New Mexico is high in gun deaths, people violence, to fight over limited resources, let's say, right? Number 4 is Alabama, another state with weak gun laws and the death penalty, but that doesn't stop them from being number 4 on the list with 25.5 gun deaths per 100,000 per year. New Mexico is at 27.3, by the way. Number 5 is Missouri, another state with a death penalty. 24.2 for Missouri, another red state. So far, 4 to 5 are red states. And making it 5 out of 6 is Montana as a red state with weak gun laws and, of course, the death penalty. So there you go. Number 6. Number 7 is Alaska. Alaska, remote Alaska, doesn't have the most people, probably has the fewest people, but has 22.4 gun deaths per capita per year, 164 in the year, total gun deaths in the year 2022. It does give the totals. Alaska has no death penalty, so they're non-death penalty, probably an easy gun state, though. Arkansas is number 8. Arkansas is another one of those poor states, those poor red states. Alaska also a red state, as we're 7 out of 8 now in red states, as New Mexico is kind of a purple state at this point, is the only non-red state in here. Arkansas at 21.9 per year, or 666. That's an interesting number for the year 2022. Total gun deaths. Arkansas has the death penalty, has weak gun laws, and has a lot of gun deaths. Number 9 is the bluest state, which is not even a state, it's a district. The District of Columbia, 21.4. Only 154 gun deaths in the entire city, but that ranks them behind Alaska, who had 10 more. So I think basically Alaska and District of Columbia.
So we're going down the list instead of up the list. We started with the top.
Yeah, we're going.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, the top killers, the top deaths, down to the least deaths. Okay. So District of Columbia is number 9, currently has a National Guard deployed. The crime rate has gone down. The violent crime rate has gone down since 2022. I looked it up. So maybe if you compile all this data for 2025 in a couple of years, we would find that District of Columbia is a lot lower, but I can't verify that at all. But the National Guard is there. Why aren't the National Guard in all these 8 states that are higher ranked in violent crime and gun deaths? But District of Columbia, no death penalty, very strict gun laws, but they are completely surrounded by Virginia and Maryland and other states that don't have, well, they do have strict gun laws, but it doesn't matter. If you can get a gun in Virginia, it's right next door.
Yeah,
so there you go.
It's really hard to control the border like that.
Yeah, there's no border to District of Columbia. It's just a sign that says, "Welcome to District of Columbia. You're not in Maryland anymore, or you're not in Kansas anymore, or whatever. You're not in Virginia." Number 10 is South Carolina, another state with a death penalty and weak gun laws. And they are bringing up the top 10 at 20.8 per 100,000 per year. Number 11 is Tennessee, another red state. 20.5, another state with the death penalty. Wyoming, another dead, is at number 12 at 20.4. Arizona is at 13 at 20.1. Arizona's kind of a purple state. Wyoming, Tennessee, and South Carolina are all red states. So out of our 13, we have 1 blue state, 2 purple states, and 10 red states with the highest gun death violence. Oklahoma and Georgia barely missing out. Of the top 13, Indiana, also a red state, just barely missing out. Nevada, which is a purple state, barely missing out. Colorado is the first blue state in the top 20 after this. Everybody else is red state. Now we'll go to the bottom 13 just for fun, and we're going to notice a trend here. Rhode Island, strong gun laws, no death penalty. Lowest gun death rate. Massachusetts, strong gun laws, no death penalty. Let's do Rhode Island, 3.1. 3.1 if you weren't keeping track. The top 13, the cutoff was around 20. So Rhode Island is at 37 gun deaths in the year 2022 and a 3.1 per 100,000, which is like 1/7 of the ones in the top 10. Massachusetts, we already mentioned, is the second on this list, and they have 3.7. Strong gun laws, no death penalty. Hawaii's next at 4.5. Strong gun laws, no death penalty. New Jersey, strong gun laws, no death penalty. They're at 5 per 5.0 per. New York, stronger gun laws and no death penalty. Connecticut is next on the list. I think we're at number 6 at 6.9, and they're no death penalty and stronger gun laws. California, very low. They're in the bottom 10 as far as gun deaths go at only 3,484 per year. Consider this is a very big state. Only 8.6 per 100,000. They have the death penalty, but the governor has suspended it. Minnesota, no death penalty. Strict gun laws. Not even that strict, probably. Maybe a little bit stricter. The stricter gun law states, I should name this, are California, New York, Illinois, New Jersey, Connecticut, Maryland, and Massachusetts. All of them in the bottom 20. All of them in the bottom 20. None of them in the top 20. Just
well, you know what
to
they say?
that.
No. Correlation doesn't equal causation, and that's what they'll say in their defense, I'm sure. That doesn't mean they're related at all.
Illinois is the only one that's fair to middling in this list. They're not the bottom 10. They're not the top 10. But to finish out the 13 here, we got Iowa, Maine, Delaware, Vermont. We get all the way to Nebraska, I think at 15 or something, before we get a state that actually has a death penalty. So the death penalty is not cutting down gun violence. I can reach that conclusion. Is not cutting down the gun violence. It's actually the opposite. That's my conclusion. I know you say, you can't reach that conclusion, but I did. Next segue. Let's have it.
Okay. Well, I have a simile for you. Gun rights are like... Well, I'm trying to think of something. Wait, I was thinking of something and I lost it.
It's all right.
Gun rights are like my ability to fly. They're not real.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Reason I bring this up is because of the Charlie Kirk thing. My friends' Discord all my friends that I've known for a very long time, like 10 years, they were talking about it. And one of my friends from Michigan was asked, Robert, my roommate who I live with, he said to this friend, fun fact, human rights aren't real. And then my friend Lathan, who is from Michigan, said, explain this, I don't understand. We basically explained that your rights are given to you by a person in power, whether it be your parents. Mm-hmm. Your parents give you the right to close your door, or the government saying you have the right to own a gun. And as soon as they decide that person in power takes that away, it doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, they're not natural. They don't come from anywhere. Nobody gave them to you except whoever the hell has more power than you. So
right. They're imaginary right.
We made them up. Human beings made the only right. I would say the only right humans have naturally, and it's very simple. It's the right to live. Some of us start with a smaller deck than everyone else.
Without
sick, disabled, and then you have to really struggle for that right to live. Some people they're given everything to them, and it's really easy for them to live.
Without people, there is no constitution. Because who's going to put it in order? Nobody's going to put it in order if nobody does it, right? Somebody has to actually go and say, this is the Constitution, this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're all going to agree on.
Yeah. Social contract.
And if people don't want to do it, they don't do it.
Yeah.
And it's legitimately true that if you don't want to follow the Constitution, you don't have to. And let's look at the Trail of Tears. The Supreme Court said, hey, Andrew Jackson, you can't do that. And Andrew Jackson said, try and stop me. And he did it anyway.
Yeah. So there
rights are a convenient little thing that you want to cling to. Gun rights don't exist because of gun right. I've said this before. The Second Amendment of the United States doesn't exist without the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment says you cannot have your house unreasonably searched and your property taken without due process.
Yeah.
But the Fourth Amendment does not exist in the United States within 100 miles of the border. And we don't know what the word border means. So
yeah, invent a border.
We don't have the Fourth Amendment. Yeah. What's the border? The ocean? Lake Michigan, the border? I don't know. What's the border? So that ambiguous little left up in the air term is going to be applied wherever they want to. And it's only 100 miles now. It'll soon be 500 miles.
I know this is a very scary thing to realize, the philosophical intentions of rights, right? Yeah. It is a chaos out there. It is chaos out there without these rules. I'm very aware. Rick has given me the right to slap him on the ass, so I will be taking that right.
And these morons who think
slapped on the ass.
And there's morons who think the Bill of Rights is a ranking. Like number one is the first ranked one. It's more important than the rest. No, they're all equally the same. Yeah. They're all equally the same, and they can all be equally ignored. It turns out. So there you go. All right, next spin. Let me get out of this hole.
I'm just, I love getting philosophical up here.
Rights are all depending on what you consider to be fair.
I mean, Ivanka is saying here all social contracts are worthless. The second a person decided, they don't give a crap. 100%. So I would love for all of us to give a crap about each other and care and have empathy, but that one person in there who doesn't do that is ruining it. Our
the fly in the ointment.
Associate.
The metaphor is the fly in the ointment.
Yeah.
It only takes one fly.
And you don't want to put that on your face anymore. Yeah. Oh, gross.
Or anywhere.
It's ruined. Yeah.
All right. So what's
the right of free internet? That's a right I can get behind. I'm not paying for this damn internet anymore.
What's my spin, man?
Associate, man. You already forgot.
Okay, associate.
Okay, our next news, and also thank you, Rick, for joining in the cafe and being here. Woo-hoo. Hello. I hope you're having a good Thursday. I know you're having a bonus day off today because you didn't have your day off on Wednesday. It's not really a bonus, it's just later than usual, I guess. My culture news is coming from The Guardian, and we're going to talk about some more drama in the United States because Bad Bunny is not touring in the U.S. at all. Zero concerts in the U.S., even though he's having a world tour. The U.S. is not included. Puerto Rican rapper says he and his team were very concerned that ICE agents might target his performances. Not him. He's not worried about him getting sent away, though it could happen. He's worried there's people who may or may not be illegal. We don't know. Going to his concerts and then just getting rounded up like cattle into the van and never seen again. So we're just going to avoid having any concerts in the United States. This is from Michael's son. Bad Bunny says he has excluded the U.S. from his forthcoming world tour due to fears that a prominent Latino musician, his fans would be subjected to immigration raids. In an interview with ID Magazine yesterday on the 10th of September, the three-time Grammy-winning musician asked whether he was skipping the U.S. out of concern about the mass deportations of Latinos. And honestly, he responded, there were many reasons why I didn't show up in the U.S. None of them were out of heat. I performed there many times. All of the shows have been successful. All of them have been magnificent. The 31-year-old born Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio said that the unprecedented immigration and customs enforcement or ICE raids across the U.S. since the, what do we call him again? The clown in chief was elected. The agency now, convicted felon Donald Trump is what I like to call him. The agency now aims for 3,000 minimum arrests a day. Is a major factor. That's insanity. At some point, you're going to run out of people to arrest. And then when do you find that point where you're like, We got them all, guys. Take down the daily allowance. Never, probably. There was the issue of, like, fucking ICE could be outside my concert, he told ID. It's something that we were talking about and very concerned about. He added that he had previously performed many times in the U.S., and that U.S. fans could see him at this current residency in Puerto Rico, in an unincorporated territory of the U.S., where he was born and lives, before he embarks on his global tour in November. Lack of U.S. dates on tour, in support of his sixth album, Debbie Tiran Mas, Fotos, has sparked media speculations announced. Bad Bunny previously told Variety that performing in the U.S. was unnecessary. He also has been vocally critical of ICE on Instagram, posting a story in June in which he referred to its agents as sons of bitches, who can't seem to leave people alone and working. Bad Bunny's decision comes amid increasing alarm around ICE arrests and deportations in the U.S. On Monday, the 8th of September, the Supreme Court granted federal agents the power to stop people in Los Angeles simply for speaking Spanish or appearing Latino. And you want me to go back and live in the United States? That can't happen. Yet again, I want to point out that my mother was asked for her papers. She told me that what happened, and she was very casual about it, but I don't think it's a casual thing. As somebody who's lived in the country your entire life, your family's lived there for generations upon generations before the country was even the United States, being asked for your fucking papers is rude as hell.
Pull that shit when I'm around. Pull that shit while I'm standing there.
I mean, I can't even speak Spanish, so I guess I'm safe. You know? A move that the Immigration Act, it's warned, has effectively legalized racial profiling. Across the U.S., Latino gatherings have been canceled for fears of becoming just a raid party, right? Hey, I heard a bunch of Latinos are having a cookout in the park. Get your handcuffs. Among the events canceled are Philadelphia's Carnaval de Puebla, Guatemalan cultural celebrations in Los Angeles, religious congregation in San Bernardino, and Colombian Independence Day Festival in Kansas. You only have to look at a certain way and speak a certain language. You're in danger. Organizer Orlando Gutierrez told The Guardian last month. Bad Bunny's Debbie Tiran Mas Fotos tour begins the 1st of November in the Dominican Republic and wraps up next July in Belgium. Ha! Guess I can go see him. So sad. This is so sad. But these are culture news, you know. I think more people should do it in general. Ever since this whole bullshit has started, right? Not just the ICE stuff, but the fascism, this complete reworking of everything that's happening in the United States. I think no one should come here and burn the economy. Sadly, that's the only thing, especially now, that the U.S. cares about is their economy and their GDP. Thank you for finding... Oh, hello, Jerry. Thank you for finding me on YouTube. The best dad-daughter you duo on YouTube ever. If there are any other dad and daughter duos out there, let me know. I don't know them. But
they're all second. They're all second.
It's always boys and it's always sons and dads. Is what I see.
Oh yeah.
But there's my story, my cultural news, and hopefully it doesn't keep happening. But I don't know what to say. Stop. If you see an ICE agent, punch him in the face. That's what I have to say.
I will associate this. Doesn't everybody in Puerto Rico know that they're a U.S. citizen and they can't be deported?
That's not the problem here.
I'm saying Bad Bunny's from Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah, but that's not the issue here. He's not worried about himself. He's worried about fans.
He's afraid, but he's afraid he's going to get deported.
No. Like I just explained, he's not scared of that.
Oh,
that's
okay.
not the issue.
Right.
The issue here is, let's say a bunch of Latinos. I love Bad Bunny. Let's all go to the Bad Bunny concert, and then because they're passing these laws where if you're speaking Spanish, you can get questioned, right? For example, they can just round up a bunch of people at the end of the concert, all the fans, all the people who went to go see him, then put them in a cage somewhere, and then, oh wait, you guys are all citizens, my bad, we went to a Bad Bunny concert, so we all assumed you're illegal for some reason. That's what he's talking about. He's not scared.
I don't have a video yet. I don't have a video yet, so.
Well, that's a problem because.
All right, so I'm going to count on you to provide the video.
All right, I'll try to see if there's something happening in this day in history. Let me roll the segue, Will.
This day in history, let's go back. I tried to find a video, but none of them were either too long or they just weren't anything.
Am I giving the Spanish guy a French accent? No, he's Puerto Rican, so he's not Spanish. Banca. But I'm glad I could help you out with the confusion there.
He's got a Spanish guy a French
Spain is
accent.
a country. What? I know Spanish is a language, but calling a guy Spanish, he's Hispanic, he's Spanish, or he's Latino because he's from Latin America. Okay, you're welcome.
He's from. Yeah,
I'm being a smartass because Banca can take it. My segue is mixed metaphor.
He could be more African than Spanish for all we know, right? Yeah. All right, so our day in history. All right, this is day in history as we try to get through today. 1697, Austrian forces won a decisive victory over the Ottoman army at the Battle of Zenta. Yay. Ottoman army consisted entirely of footstools. It's a very... I'm going to keep making that joke. 1709, the Duke of Marlborough led the British army of 100,000 men against the French army of 90,000 men, but who's counting? At the Battle of Malplaquet in the War of the Spanish Succession. Yeah, the British were fighting the French in the War of Spanish Succession. Make sense of it. Anyway, the Duke of Marlborough won that. Doesn't even say he won it. He said he led the British army against the French army. Doesn't say. It was inconclusive. 1771, British forces led by General William Howe defeated the Americans at the Battle of Brandywine during the American Revolution. And how did he do it? He was very clever. The Battle of Brandywine, which is, Brandywine just north of here. Is that the same Brandywine? I'm going to look that up. That's pretty interesting. There's a Brandywine just north of here. 1814, the naval forces under Thomas MacDonough defeated a larger British force at the Battle of Lake Champlain during the War of 1812. That would have been cool watching a battle on Lake Champlain. You've been across that river, have you not? Maybe not.
I don't. That doesn't sound familiar, but I've heard about it my entire life, I guess.
It's like the seventh Great Lake or something like that. There's a bunch of. It's a decent sized lake, but they had a battle of 1812 on it. It's the water between Vermont and New York, the state of New York. 1855, the 11-month siege of Sevastopol ended after British and French troops finally captured the main naval base and Russian Black Sea Fleet during the Crimean War. Lots of war news today. Lots of war history. 1941, construction began on the Pentagon. Hell of a coincidence. The Pentagon began in 1941 and it was attacked exactly 60 years later. Isn't that interesting? Exactly to the day it was started, it was a plane crashed into it. I don't think the terrorists knew that when they did it. Construction began on the Pentagon on this day in Arlington County, Virginia, one of the largest office buildings in the world. It is the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense, including the Army, Navy, and Air Force. And we're not going to talk about the Marines for some reason because we want to, ignore them. I don't know why he's leaving the Marines out of that. Well, thank you, Britannica, for only talking about the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Nobody else. 1944, Winston Churchill and Franklin Delano Roosevelt met in Canada at the Second Quebec Conference. There's your 2/3 of the alliteration. Quebec Conference. 1967, I was looking for a video on this, couldn't find one. The Carol Burnett, a decent one. The Carol Burnett Show debuted on this day in 1967 on CBS. The variety and sketch comedy program, which featured Carol Burnett and her comedy troupe, became a Saturday night staple. Always watched Carol Burnett, a very funny show, because the actors would always crack each other up trying to do their skits. 1973, in a horrible, horrible day, General Augusto Pinochet led a coup d'etat, overthrowing the government President Salvador Allende of Chile. And of course, my phone's got to go off.
Scam likely calling again?
What's that now?
Yeah, the scammer likely calling you again?
No, it's not. It's not scam likely. It's a toll-free call. I don't know him either. Anyway, this coup d'etat was allowed to happen by the United States government. Henry Kissinger basically said, let him go. Who cares? It's just Chile. And of course, Henry Kissinger's basically just turned his back on let that government collapse and let a whole bunch of people get disappeared a little bit later. 1985, American professional baseball player Pete Rose registered his 4,192nd career hit, breaking a record set by Ty Cobb. Recently passed away, Pete Rose. 2002, Johnny Unitas, American gridiron football player, died in Maryland. Considered one of the NFL's all-time greatest quarterbacks. Died in Maryland. He played for the Baltimore Colts and the San Diego Chargers. When he played for the Colts, I think my old boss, Ralph, actually knew Johnny Unitas quite well because he was a ball boy for the Baltimore Colts. So I know somebody that knew somebody. 2008, a major fire erupted in the Channel Tunnel, or the Channel, which runs under the English Channel. It connects England with France. And the Channel did not resume full service until the following year. So that was 17 years ago. The Channel fire, which is a real... Doesn't say how many people were dead. The Channel, yeah, right? The tunnel under the channel, a channel. Like Brexit, the British love their little terms, don't they? September 11th, featured event, of course, is a bunch of planes crashing into buildings. The World Trade Center and the Pentagon attacked by terrorists. This day, 2001, 24 years ago. Hardly seems possible that was 24 years ago.
And
still seems like
24
yesterday.
24 years of hell have happened since. Really.
And yeah, and me having to go work on this shit. My work, I don't know if you know this, but I had to go work for the Department of Homeland Security, which they created like a year later. And I went to work for them before. Like, as soon as planes were in the air, again, I felt 3 days later, I was in the air on the planes, mostly empty planes. And I wasn't even in Maryland. I was still in El Paso at the time. I was flying all over the freaking country, putting in communications for emergency here and emergency there. Yeah, so, and I was flying on mostly empty planes, which was quite interesting. Literally a trip, right? And a trip. Because you get on a plane, there's 4 people on the plane.
Yeah, that's...
I'm not even exaggerating.
Nobody's allowed to fly, yeah.
And the airlines had to operate, right? They got all shitloads of money from the government to operate, so they had to operate. So people were terrified to fly. So I wasn't. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna die of something. And I'm, you know what I'm saying? I'm by the way, if there's a hijacker on the plane,
I'm gonna die of something.
Well, if it's a hijacker on the plane, I'm pretty sure, first of all, these planes would have never crashed if they would just do the one little thing. Lock the cockpit door. Lock the door. That's all they had to do. End of story. Nobody can get into the cockpit because it's not locked. But unfortunately, they had this stupid rule where anybody can just wander into the cockpit. I don't even understand that, but there you go. That's what happened 24 years ago today. Other birthdays today. We got D.H. Lawrence. D.H. Lawrence. He died in Vince, France. What did D.H. Lawrence write? I can't. My mind is.
I'll click the link so you don't have to load the page for 5 minutes.
I'm getting brain fog on that. He was born September 11th, 1885 in East England.
Lovers, died. The Rainbow, and Women in Love are his.
Oh.
Ever heard of any of those?
Sound provocative. So he wrote provocative novels, and he died at the age of 44 in France. France is a great place to die.
I think he was more of a poet than a novelist.
Right.
He was recognized as the first working-class novelist showing the reality of English provincial life. So, before it was all rich people, you know. He was the first, like, hey, I can read and write, and I'm going to tell you about what it's like to be poor.
There you go. And the Battle of Brandywine, I looked up, took place near Philadelphia. So I wasn't here at all. Ferdinand Marcos' birthday today. Is born in 1970. 17, ruler of the Philippines, kind of a dictator of the Philippines. And speaking of dictator, Bashar al-Assad's birthday. He's born in 1965, president of Syria, now deposed or dead. He might even be dead. I don't know. Well, he's only 62. He might still be alive, right? One of the Assads. It's his birthday.
He escaped. I believe he escaped.
Okay.
Yeah.
Harry Connick Jr.'s birthday, American musician and actor, born in 1967. Taraji P. Henson, American actress, born in 1970. And Ludacris, American rapper, in 1997. I'll say Mike Tyson's favorite rapper is Ludacris. because they say his name.
I can't think of any of his songs right now, but I know there's some hits.
That's just ludicrous. So, in today's National Day calendar is the following things. National School Picture Day. So, yeah, get that picture you're going to look at in 20 years and go, oh, God. Anyway, and National Hot Cross Bun Day. Hot cross buns. Not a medical affliction.
The first song you'll learn on an instrument. Hot cross bun. Hot cross bun.
Not just the thing you learn on the recorder. It's
it's every instrument. You need to learn those 3 notes. Okay, and then you move on.
And it's also not a medical condition. Sorry, Mr. Stewart, you have hot cross buns. We're gonna have to operate. National Make Your Bed Day. I'm not doing that. Patriot, I had to do that every day for 4 years in the Marine Corps.
I'm cleaning my bed right now, so I'll make it later, okay?
I had to. You know what I did in the Marine Corps instead of making my bed when I knew we were getting inspected the next day? When we weren't getting inspected, I didn't give a crap. But I would just sleep on top of the covers. Throw a blanket over top of me or a sheet over top of me.
Yeah.
That way, when I got out of the bed, it was already made. All I had to do was pull the blankets tight. Yeah, that was it. And poof, perfect rack. And they call it a rack, by the way. They call your bed a rack. And it's National Patriot Day. Patriot Day, National Day of Remembrance for September 11th. So those are your spins, We didn't have any haikus or limericks today. We had a couple of metaphors. I think we just had a bunch of metaphors today for today, which is 9/11, September 11th, 2025, on Before Hot Cross Buns.
Okay. My mixed metaphor for you is that's a sweet that's a sweet tragedy. Okay. There's nothing good to talk about, but the sun's coming out. My green screen hates me.
Oh no!
It was raining all day, and then suddenly now I sent you a link. I don't know if you got the link.
Okay.
It's no international days today because I don't know. I feel like you should have had like International Day Against Terrorism. That's probably a different day. I do feel like 9/11 is the biggest one, though. I don't know if that's just because I'm American or what. Because I know there has been terrible ones since then, but I feel like this one is a pretty big one.
I can't even begin to tell you how different your life would have been without 9/11. I don't even know.
I already know. Well,
the
tragedy is that I was pretty alive by the time it happened, so I remember what it was like before. And I'm actually kind of jealous of the people who were born after it because they don't know what they missed out on. So, right? I remember picking you up at the airport like it's a bus station, like a bus terminal. I didn't have to go through security. I didn't take my shoes off. I didn't do any of that bullshit. I just said, oh, look, there's your dad getting off the plane. The end. And now you have to go through a 2-hour ordeal just to get on the plane. So that's just an example of many things that changed. Yes. But this is
another example of how the terrorists won.
Yeah. Sadly.
They won, and they won a resounding victory. We lost, and it wasn't even close.
And Demigorge here says that his uncle actually pulled people out of the Pentagon. So big ups to the Coast Guard.
Hell, I mean, anybody that did that, hats off to you. You probably suffered. You're probably suffering now. There's a lot of radiation there.
So this has been Allison here from the Netherlands, Roger from the East Coast of the U.S., as we finish off another Thursdays 13. I hope you learned all about which states to live in, I guess, to avoid gun violence. And we will see you tomorrow for our Friday news dump, and we'll tell you all the things you need to know before the weekend, so you don't have to worry about it. That's right. I am begging you to please stay off of the news cycle this weekend. Really take some time for your mental health and yourself, because we'll tell you about it. If you need to know, we'll let you know, okay? So, Friday is the day for you. Don't forget to support us on Patreon if you would like to give us some monetary compensation for our being the best daughter and dad duo on the internet here.
Yeah! Patreon! We should put more videos on Patreon. I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt.
I would love to put more videos on Patreon if I had time. Let me know when you give us some extra time.
How about the unedited reaction videos? Just put them up there. Anyway.
And here is our mic drop moment.
All right.
So, it's a short video, but it's the only thing I could find that's at least topical for today.
Oh, it's a Thursday 14th. Oh, look at him. Ooh.
Some great photos. These are usually senior photos, right? The ones that this is the last time you're going to be the yearbook.
Yeah.
That's that child. It's like he won't let me take the costume off.
That's nice.
That is an interesting hairstyle. Oh shit, from Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm very proud of my trophy for building the best rocket.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy is happy.
Come on, let him be.
Oh,
all these guys are.
That is an interesting outfit. That's a very 90s outfit. The weird skirt with long legs.
Here, biggest fan. Oh, I remember the 80s. This dreamer.
We learned about photo editing.
Most puzzling of all. Here we go. What is it?
What are they doing that's puzzling? Oh, they're comparing sizes, I see.
Oh, it's supposed to be,
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.